Stay. How nice to see you here today. So welcome to our hybrid service. It's wonderful to see you here, and for those of you who are with us online, thank you for joining us today. This month's theme is Ancestral Wisdom, New Thought. And it's already brought us some sort of surprising insights, some unique titles. The first lesson of the month, which I was so blessed to be able to share with you, was Divine Mind and Maple Sugar. And that focused on how beautifully woven together and integrated and supportive all the aspects of the universe are in caring for the plants, the animals, and humans, with gifts of sunlight and air and water and the miraculous benefits of this beautiful earth. Last Sunday, we focused on circulation and wild strawberries. That was fun.
Yes.
And we were reminded of the generous law of nature in giving and receiving. Nature really is very generous with us. This week's lesson looks deeper at yet another spiritual law. Debbie mentioned it earlier, cause and effect in the sweetgrass. So this is going to kind of take us all the way back. We're going to go a circuitous route because I have to lay some context. This lesson requires context. Simply put, how you think and act toward the universe comes back to you in the way the universe appears to you. How you experience it. That's a law of cause and effect. And again, the author of this week's lesson focused on sweetgrass, which is a North American grass growing mostly in the northern portions of our country, U.S., and particularly near bodies of water, such as the Great Lakes. And it's used by Native Americans and has been for many centuries as part of their ceremonial and spiritual practices. I've been intrigued by the references in the book this month. Theme has brought to us. Braiding Sweetgrass is the name of the book that our author this month used. Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. And this is a book written by Robin Kimmerer. And in this book, she specifically references the Native American use of sweetgrass. I was able to do a little bit of research and found more nuggets of wisdom and insight to share with you. And I'm going to fill that in around the subject matter as we unfold here. There we go. So once I've set the context for the lesson, then we'll look a bit more closely at the law of cause and effect. I'm sorry I have to wear these on my nose, but that way I get to see you and what's here too. So specifically, we're going to look at our part in the divine co-creation in life, how we can co-create with nature, and what our part is in reaching the goal of a world that works for everyone. So, sweetgrass. In all honesty, I haven't spent much time in my life delving into the beliefs and the traditions of the indigenous people of North America, our Native Americans. I'm a little bit embarrassed by that. I've spent more time looking at Eastern philosophies than I have about the people who live right here. History and archaeology tell us Native peoples traveled from Asia to this continent across a land bridge from Siberia to what we know as Alaska, and then down through Canada to what is now the United States, and then to Mexico, Central America, and South America. So they came all the way over from Asia across that land bridge. what historians and archaeologists tell us is this migration began as early as 20,000 years, 20,000 BCE. So before the Common Era. So they've been here, coming over here for a long time, because that's what they found. The archaeologists have been digging up stuff that supports that. As they moved across and down the continents and created settlements, the Native Americans adapted to the climates and the regions where they were living. And what is consistent about an analysis of this population is that they were very resilient and adapted to whatever climate, whatever area they were living in. They were very resilient in doing that. The natives also brought with them a set of cultural beliefs and traditions that, despite the pressure of the colonizers, that would be the white guys, those have survived nearly intact through a lot of centuries. Key traditions that are still followed include the power of oral tradition, of storytelling, very powerful. The importance of community, respect for elders, and balance and harmony within oneself, among people, and within the natural and spiritual world. Those are incredible values, and they're very much aligned with what we believe here in this teaching. Many Native American communities continue to practice traditional healing, blending ceremonies, sacred herbs, and rituals into a holistic well-being. Those practices address both physical and spiritual health and reflect a worldview in which mind, body, and spirit are interconnected. The sacred herbs that we're talking about with Native Americans include sage. We've all heard of sage smudging, cedar for its aromatic qualities, tobacco. I was not aware of that. Natural tobacco, and sweetgrass, all of which are burned during their ceremonies for specific spiritual purposes and offerings. Braiding sweetgrass is a preliminary process to its use in ceremonies, and that comes after the sweetgrass has been gathered. So I'll talk more about that towards the end of my lesson. From the notes for today's lesson, the author provides us with this excerpt from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer. The gray-haired elder, Lena, led Robin through the meadow in search for sweetgrass. It's our way, she said, to take only what we need. I've always been told that you never take more than half. After scattering a bit of tobacco onto the ground with her thanks, she said, you know this, to always leave a gift for the plants, to ask if we might take them. It would be rude not to ask first. Only then did she stoop and pinch off a grass stem at its base, careful not to disturb the roots. The most important thing was to remember what Lena's grandmother had always told her. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay with us and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. If you don't give it respect, it will leave us. What the author goes on to tell us is how, as a professor of botany, one of her students carefully studied the effects of human interaction and harvesting of the sweetgrass, and her study proved conclusively that the plants that received attention and the respect suggested flourished. They grew healthy and lush and came back year after year. So, what does all that have to do with the law of cause and effect? You might ask. From the notes for today, we read this. According to the science of mind, the law of mind is always at work, like a mirror reflecting back whatever we're thinking and feeling. It doesn't judge or pick favorites. It just takes in the impressions we give it through our thoughts and emotions, and then shows them to us in the form of our experiences. This means our inner world is constantly shaping our outer world, whether we realize it or not. We're not just along for the ride in life. We're the mechanism of that creative process. When we become more aware and intentional about what we're thinking and feeling, and I would add acting, we start to see real changes in our lives, as well as in the world around us. It's about taking responsibility, not in a heavy way, but in an empowering way, knowing that we have the ability to participate in what shows up for us. Life isn't just happening to us. We're actively shaping it every day with our thoughts, feelings, and our choices. In The Science of Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote, the law of cause and effect operates through a law of compensation to supply the equal of that which has been given. It is a vehicle for the divine circuit of life and is linked up with the law of giving and receiving. As we give full expression to life in the giving of ourselves, so life returns to us in pouring forth its gifts to us through various channels. That comes from the glossary of the Science of Mind. And then the law of compensation, as was referenced earlier, is recompense, reward, remuneration, and balance. The law of balance in the mental world, cause and effect. As you sow, you reap. When we reference the law of cause and effect and the law of compensation, I sometimes think there's a subtlety that Dr. Holmes' writings and words don't adequately convey. The law of compensation seems to say, whatever you give out in the world will be returned to you in equal measure. A pound of this for a pound of that. And in some ways, it feels and sounds like a kind of a barter system. Sorry, that's my take on it. You give this, and they'll give you. And from some perspectives, that may be accurate. But for me, when we're discussing divine co-creation, which is what mind is, the law of cause and effect, we're co-creating. It's not the how much, or the how big, or the how deep, or the how little. It's also about the place within us, the place from which we are extending ourselves. That's a subtle but so important aspect of the law, from my point of view. The law receives the impress of our thoughts and beliefs and reflects them back as the circumstances of our lives. What I'm attempting to say is, what's the feeling or intention behind the thought process? Are my thoughts and intentions behind what I do and how I act motivated by the feelings of unity, consideration, love, charity, compassion? Or am I more focused on having the acknowledgement of the gift or act, the receipt, the notoriety? Overall, what's the effect I would hope to have? Ernest Holmes wrote, infinite and immutable as the law is, ever present and available as it must be, the potential possibility of all human probability, it must flow through us in order to manifest for us. So the law receives every little nuance within me, my thoughts, my emotions, my intentions, and it mirrors it back to me. That may be the good news or the bad news. The question comes up, is my expression in the world creative expression, or is it a business transaction? And am I perfectly clear about my thinking such that I see my life, in my life, the full, rich expression of divine co-creation mirroring back to me? Am I seeing it? Am I experiencing it? The law doesn't have an opinion of what's put into it. It just receives the imprints and acts on it. So if I'm having a jackrabbit mind, and sometimes we call that monkey mind in this teaching, but it's a jackrabbit, it goes this way and that way, running off in this direction at this moment and into another the next, then the law is going to respond in kind. Okay? What we impress into it. So I want to take a moment to consider how your thoughts go over the space of just a few moments. And it might be something like this. Okay? Reverend Alice is talking about the law of cause and effect and how it mirrors back to us what we think and believe. I really should pay better attention to what I'm thinking at any given moment. Oh man, I just remembered. I needed to take that piece of meat out of the freezer for dinner tonight. Dummy me. Oh well, now what am I going to fix? I guess I'll need to stop at the store and pick up something. And it won't be on sale. There goes the budget. But not that store. That's always so much traffic. And it's further away. It'll take more gas. Last time I was there, that guy in that big pickup pulled up in front of me and I almost hit him. That would cause havoc in my insurance, not to mention the cost of repairs. What a jerk. Scared the heck out of me. Some people really should learn how to drive. Or better yet, just stay home and order groceries delivered. What was that Reverend Alice said? Spiritual practice will help our minds stay on healthy thoughts. And healthy thoughts mirror healthy experiences in life. I don't know about you, but what I just read to you is probably takes 5 seconds in the human mind to happen. But you can see how one thing leads to another, to another, to another, to another. And when all of a sudden we're down the slippery slope of thinking things that really don't benefit us or anybody else, actually. And yet the law receives it. And we're giving all kinds of mixed signals. All kinds of stop, go, red light, green light, bad, new, good, yes. It's all very conflicting. So how important would it be for us to pay attention to where our thoughts are going? The divine law of co-creation, the law of cause and effect, just takes it all in. Every little bit of it. Doesn't exclude it, doesn't judge, just takes it all in. And without our even realizing it, we've sent a batch of mixed messages to the creative law of life. And it all happens in the space of just seconds. So, when we talk about spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, absolutely. Affirmations, visioning, all of those sharpen our awareness of where our minds are. Doing daily spiritual practices are like doing daily exercises, okay? Strengthens the muscles of the mind, just as doing little exercises strengthen the body and help to keep it healthy. Paying attention in meditation, paying attention in our prayers, keeping our focus on where our mind is going, helps us to move into places that are healthy for us and for the world around us. So a few minutes ago, I read a paragraph from Rating Sweetgrass about how the Indigenous peoples intentionally honored and respected the sweetgrass in their process of gathering it. They always asked if they could harvest it, and they never took more than half of what was available. I'm imagining what my garden would look like and how well it would produce if I practiced that level of respect and care for all the plants there, or even the ones living in my kitchen. We are co-creators with an infinite intelligence, which isn't just confined to the human race. That intelligence is in the earth, the soil, the sun, the seed, the air. What if in our gardening, we gave thoughts of gratitude to the universe for its generosity in growing these beautiful and even nourishing plants? What if we did that? And what if we tend them, feed and water them, and provide them with their optimal growing conditions? Yes, we do that, but how much sweeter would the harvest be if we were also give them our honor and our respect and our gratitude? Is that too weird? No, God's there too. We humans have great power available to us, both to create and to destroy. Our mindful stewardship of nature recognizes our interdependence with all of life around us. And it supports what we say we believe, that we are co-creating a world that works for everyone. And that includes not only humans, but plants and animals and birds and fish and insects and organisms, all of it. Our organizational declaration of principles is a distillation of what we as practitioners of the science of mind say we believe. And so central to the lesson today was this paragraph from the declaration. We read it earlier. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We as an organization are open at the top. That's our global theme for this year. We're open at the top to learn about and to embrace the spiritual practices and wisdoms of other cultures. And certainly the indigenous cultures, people who lived and have honored the earth for centuries. I have deep respect. We're co-creators in the world we live in. We get to enjoy all gifts, but we are also called to share in the responsibility of what our world looks like, especially for those segments of nature that do not have a voice. Can we envision a world that works for all, that doesn't leave out some part of the world around us? Perhaps the place to start is to actually pay attention, to give serious thought to the fact that absolutely everything we do and say and think has an impact on the world around us. That if we, in any way, minimize or disrespect a segment of the natural world, even in our thoughts, we are in essence refusing to acknowledge our interdependence on the life around us. As I was writing this morning, I was thinking about how reverence and respect for all life would work. I thought about what it might be if we practice that in agribusiness, for example, on the 1,000-acre farms that are in the Midwest. And what would it look like on a farm where food animals are raised? Would be different. What about how corporations would act, the ones that develop the land? Would that change their practices? How about using that for reverence and respect for the native tribes in South America? Would it change how they were treated? And what about the animals in the rainforest? How would they be treated? and considered. A world that works for everyone means everyone gets a seat at the table to bring their insights, their wisdoms, their needs, to help us collectively create that world where everyone's needs are met. For the world to truly reflect care and concern, mutual respect of all nature requires an intentional shift in our collective thinking. By our recognition, by setting our personal intentions, we plant a seed in the global consciousness to make the shift. And the bottom line, it starts here. So as I come to a close of my lesson this morning, I wanted to share a bit more Indigenous wisdom and spiritual insight with you about braiding sweetgrass. Sweetgrass is symbolic, and the braids are symbolic. There's 21 strands used to make up a braid, which is used in the ceremonial experiences that the Native Americans have. And they burn it. It doesn't come into open flame, but it smokes like sage does. The first 7 strands, so you have 3 groups that they're braiding. So the first 7 strands represent those 7 generations behind us, including our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and so on. Who we are and what we are is because of them. Sweetgrass helps us remember to heal and reconnect with our ancestors. The next 7 strands represents the 7 sacred teachings: love, respect, honesty, courage, wisdom, truth, humility. Though simple, these are powerful and beautiful teachings we can all learn. Sweetgrass reminds us to incorporate these teachings into our daily lives. The last 7 strands are those of the 7 generations in front of us. Our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and so on. Everything we do will one day affect them. Sweetgrass reminds us of our legacy, the one we create each and every day. The braids of sweetgrass that the Indigenous peoples use are created with intention, honor and respect, and absolute intention. So you and I are co-creators with this law of cause and effect. And as we leave here today, my hope would be that each of us gives attention to the opportunities we have in the way we direct our thoughts, and the way we react to it, the way we honor and respect, because it all leads to a world that truly works for everyone. So I'd like to take all of that and our intentions into prayer. So please join me. Beloved, we give thanks for this time, for this connection with infinite source, in all the many ways it has shown up in the world. And we open heart, mind, and spirit to be ever more aware of His presence, of the life energy that is everywhere around us, and our interdependence on it. May we be guided by this lesson today to truly pay attention, to set the intention of honoring and respecting, no matter what it looks like, no matter how big, how small, because each and every little piece or big piece affects the health and well-being of the whole. And we are no small part of that. by our intention to honor and respect, we do plant a seed in the collective consciousness of the planet to honor each other, to act in mindful and intelligent ways, to listen deeply to those ancient traditions, to be open to incorporating those that are historically ancient with modern practices, to create a world that works for everyone. Thank you, beloved, for this time together, for this lesson this morning. We gratefully accept the action of the universe on this word, on this intention, to guide us, to lead us, to be aware. And in gratitude for all this, we say thank you and release this word. And so it is.